And 3, 2, 1. Are you gonna wear that blanket this entire time?
It's freezing.
Can we take?
You
that
refuse to turn on the heat good.
The heat is on.
Trying to save money and all
the
that.
The heat is. Okay,
It's freezing in this house. I cannot do this recording without this blanket.
Okay, well.
Welcome to Just John and April, the relationship podcast, your place for life, love, and laughs. In today's episode, I don't know what we're talking about. In today's episode, anxiety over spending habits and word of the day.
Wow. Oh, man. Hey, babe.
I'm really bad at that.
No, you're not. I was just thinking I'm in trouble based on the topic.
Oh. We'll talk about this. Let's start talking.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm cold.
Yeah, you always say you're cold.
I am.
There's a huge cold front all over.
First of all,
Dad said it was like 19 degrees in Nashville yesterday.
It's like colder in this house than outside. I'd rather go outside. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Sorry.
I'm like freezing right now.
So we have a rule in our house that is, I guess, a rule that was handed down from my father to me that I carry on with pride. And that is that we go as long as we possibly can once the weather changes before we put the heat on. Because once the heat comes on, it has to be on the rest of the time. So I figure if we go as long as we can with the heat not being on, then we can save some money.
I'm about to go downstairs in the night and fling that thing all the way up to 80.
That's not happening. First of all, this woman gets so hot at night. Like if it gets too hot at night, she wakes up in a sweat.
That's
and she
true.
can't sleep and all that stuff. So she needs it cold. So it's funny how she's
Yes,
talking about how
but-
cold it is now. But when it's time to go to bed, she wants it to be cold.
Right, but I don't want it to be cold while I'm walking around and cooking and
Well, put on a jacket.
and you know, helping the kids with homework.
Put on a sweater,
No.
sweatshirt, something.
Well, you
It's
know,
not that big of a deal, man.
folks wanted me to match him during
That wouldn't-
episodes
that
and
wouldn't-
all
You
that.
trying to be cute. You have
true.
other stuff that matches me that's not as cute as that.
true.
Yes, you were.
You're like, wear a blue shirt. I'm like, this is the only blue shirt I have. That's all I
Hold on,
have.
that's the only blue shirt you have?
Yes.
I will stop
Plain.
excuse me. I will stop this podcast right now and go get 3 other shirts to prove right now.
3
I can find 3 blue shirts right now.
plain blue shirts.
I didn't say
No.
Hold, excuse me. Stop.
I
stop.
said
Hold on.
plain.
Did she say plain?
I did.
She said blue shirt. She did
I
not say
said
plain blue shirt.
But
Man,
I'm saying,
I cannot wait to rewind this.
rewind?
Oh, I can't wait. I'm rewinding it for
Did
them.
he just say rewind? Who says rewind anymore?
Be kind, please rewind. Do you want me to go get the shirts to prove to the audience that you
Yes,
have
I
3?
do, because I don't have 3.
Okay.
Now, you're saying I have 3 blue.
I'm going right now.
You're saying I have 3 blue plain.
No, I didn't say plain.
No, but
I said 3
plain
shirts.
because I don't want to wear a pattern when you're wearing
So that-
a pattern like that.
so then
So
there's-
that's what I was saying.
So there's no
let me
point.
try.
So there's
When
no
we go
point in me
back-
leaving then. Is what you're saying.
No,
do not
you're
go in there
saying
again.
that because you know I don't have any plain blue shirts besides this one.
Okay, that may be true. But I said blue. I didn't say plain.
Okay, let's get to the topic.
Anxiety over my spouse's spending habits. You said my husband's. No, you didn't actually.
Did I?
You didn't say that. You
So
just
he's
said.
revealing that he is the one that gives anxiety. So yes, you are the one. I am more of the I'm on the frugal side.
I'm on the frugal side
He's
too.
on the frugal side,
But I like to spend a little more than April likes to spend. I guess our relationship to money is that I will be frugal and I will sell things and I will research
true.
things
That is true.
so that I can eventually buy them. April, on the other hand, when she has money, has trouble actually pulling the trigger and purchasing stuff. April's relationship to money is more to save it. Mine is probably more towards spending. We're both savers, but I'm saving with the intent to spend.
I'm saving with the intent to just sit on it and wait.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, I don't know. Like,
Yeah, at some point we might need this.
unless
And-
it's like, a new hair product or
well,
something.
yeah, we already revealed that
But
several episodes ago.
that's cheap. That's
Right.
not like big money.
That's not always cheap.
It is. Some shampoo I'm talking. I'm
Right.
not even talking about,
Right.
blow dryers and flat
Right,
irons.
right.
That's every once in a while.
But
I'm
blow dryers and
talking-
flat irons are on the list of things you buy too.
Yeah, but that's
Okay, good.
that's far between.
Few and far
Few
between.
and far.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's what we're really talking about today. We're talking about this idea that sometimes in your relationship, you underestimate the power of understanding the differences that you have when it comes to spending.
Yeah.
I think it's important that you establish at some point early on in your relationship what your spending habit is like, or what your relationship to money is like, I guess is the way we want to put it.
Yeah, because, I mean, it really can be stressful when you know your spouse may come home and have something that you had not intended for them to have. They're
Right.
just, spending money, and, you didn't know that they spent that much and you don't have the money or
Right.
whatever. You got to figure out every time, how are you going to pay for this or that?
Yeah.
So, that can be stressful. It can actually cause strife in the relationship if it is not something that you talk about and decide how you're going to handle that. And I think the best thing is to be able to acknowledge that you are a spender if you are. Usually spenders try to act like they're not.
And I think usually hoarders try to act like they're not.
Hoarders. Now, let's make sure we use that word properly,
we
because
should.
I'm not a hoarder.
That's true. That's true.
A hoarder has stuff
Right.
that they do not. So
Right.
we're not talking about hoarder like that. I guess I hoard money.
Right. So I guess the point is, though, that it's okay to admit what your particular spending style is. I mean, we should call it a different thing, because spending style gives the impression that you like to spend. I mean, some people's spending style is saving, and that's not a spending style.
That's true. So what
You know.
what would you call it?
I don't know. I kind of like referring it to your relationship to money.
Okay, I like
You know what I'm
that.
saying?
Yeah.
That's kind of how I like to see
Okay.
it. So
this is a relationship podcast.
it is.
Your place for life, love, and laughs.
So anyway,
So your relationship to money.
I think
like that.
I think it is important to establish that, though, and there are going to be some negative stereotypes around each side of the spectrum,
Yeah.
so that a person who likes to spend might be considered, bad with money, and that doesn't always have to be the case.
That's true.
And
That's
a person who doesn't like to spend may be seen as a cheapskate, and that might not be the case.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think it's good to be able to admit what your spending style is like, what your relationship to money is like,
Right.
and not feel like there's anything that's bad or anything wrong with you just because you occupy a particular way of thinking.
Yeah,
when
because
it
I
comes to
think
that.
people do not want to say that I like to spend money.
Correct.
People don't want to say that, even though that may be the case.
True.
But unless you admit that, you won't be able to, I guess, control it in
That's
a way.
true.
You know?
That's true. And I also think if we're right, and I think we are, that expectations play a large role in things like this, then it's important to establish an appropriate expectation around your style.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have the expectation that my wife is going to have a easy time saving if she's really a spender. You know what I'm saying?
True.
So we have to go into it knowing what our strengths and weaknesses are in a particular area and say,
Yes.
here's how I'm going to do this or that. Anyway, we bring this up because of a particular situation there's been a lot of stuff that's happened early on in our relationship. April and I had a particular circumstance. We might have shared it with you before. I can't remember. One day, we had been married for let's just call it a year, right?
Okay.
And I went to this shop to get our car worked on. It was an oil change or a tire rotation or something simple, something that we both know is something we need to do and is something that doesn't cost that much. And when I came home, I had a new set of rims and tires on the car.
Guys, first of all, I didn't even notice. Okay.
Yeah, she had no idea.
We get in the car. He was like, let's go for a ride. We go for a ride. We pass by. He goes into this parking lot, and this building has these tinted windows.
No, it was like mirror windows.
Oh, mirror windows.
You know what I'm saying?
But you
know
can
those
see
kind of windows.
yourself through the
Yeah,
window.
see the reflection. Yeah.
Yeah, your reflection. And he drives slowly past the windows. And I'm like, what are you doing? I still didn't notice. He was like, look at the reflection. And I was like, what? It's the car? You got to wash? Like, I don't know.
Right.
And then he just told me. And I mean, I just started crying because I just thought, like, how you going to go behind my back and spend what, like $800?
I don't remember how much it was, but
We didn't
it was a good amount.
have any money like that.
Right. It was a good amount of money. It was pretty bad.
I was like, who is this person?
So what saved our marriage is that as we were driving, April noticed that she heard a sound when I would turn the wheel to the right or to the left while we were driving. And when we investigated, it was the tire rubbing up against the
new rim.
No, against the car.
Oh.
Right? like the wheel well. The tire was rubbing up against the wheel well. It's because the tires or the rims or something were too big for the car. And so I drove the thing right back to the shop. And I said, "Listen, this doesn't fit. I want to return them." The guy hemmed and hawed a little bit, but he gave my money back, and I went home, and I was.
Let me tell you,
my marriage was saved.
I'm telling you, I was really, really mad.
Yeah.
I was sad. I was hurt. I just felt like that was so not plan that we had.
I think you were sadder than you were mad.
I was,
and I think you were also. You seemed betrayed, like you felt betrayed.
I felt betrayed.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know you were still like almost like a teenager still.
Yeah, right.
So that's,
you know
that's why you did it,
Yeah.
because your frontal lobe probably hadn't fully developed.
They say your frontal lobe doesn't fully develop till 25. And right now I'm like
men.
20, 22. Men, women too.
No, women's frontal lobe develops way earlier.
Whatever, April. You
Don't let me look that up right now.
Look it up.
Women's frontal lobe. Okay, are you serious?
Anyway,
I'm about to look this up.
Here's the point. The point is, it could have been a disaster. And it ended up being a lot better because we were able to sort of walk it back and return it and stuff. But still, it sort of established something in our relationship which said, we have got to agree upon spending over a certain amount of money. Because up until that point, I'd been working and wasn't married and could kind of do my own thing. And now all of a sudden we're married and, so anyway.
True.
Whatever. So the point is, we've learned from that. But that doesn't mean that our situation is without issue. Are you looking up the frontal lobe thing?
Oh, I didn't mean to be that loud. I had to look this up.
What does it say?
So it says,
Come on.
Okay, teen's brain isn't fully developed and won't be until age 25 or so.
For men or women? Which one?
Hold on.
Which one? No, hold on. Did it specify just now 25 as a woman or a man? Man, I love winning. I really hope I win right now. Now she's texting us. See, she found an article which was perfectly. She found an article which was perfectly fine.
That was not what I asked. Here we go. The frontal lobe cortex is larger and develops faster in females.
Fine.
Hello.
But does it?
Hello.
But does
exactly
it?
What I said.
But does it develop before 25?
First of all, that's what it says.
I win.
I was correct. No, you did not win. I won.
So part of the reason why we're talking about this now is because something happened recently.
Yes. So John was given a bike.
A road bike.
A road bike. Very nice road bike. Expensive road bike.
Very nice.
That we were so thankful that a friend gave him.
Yes.
So he has the new bike, riding it, loving it, right? Enjoys the bike. And then says to me, I'm looking at buying a bike. And I'm like, okay, 10 years from now? Like, well, he was like, what? No. And everywhere on his computer is bikes that he's looking at. And so I'm just really, this causes me to just be frustrated a little bit, because I'm like, why are you looking for a new bike? And you have a new bike, a brand new bike that someone has given you, and you already thinking about buying the next one. And let me tell you something about my husband. He will research, he will get the best bang for his buck. He's going to sell something to get it, and he will not spend our own money. He will sell things.
Very true.
I mean, he will find a VCR in the basement and sell that thing for $25.
Who's gonna buy a VCR?
I'm just saying, he will find something.
I do be finding stuff like that, though.
No, for real. Like he sold like a DVD player for $20, and it just went into his little stash of money to buy whatever he wanted to buy next. That's fine. But I don't know why it still gives me this unrest. And I'm like wondering, why can't you just enjoy the bike that you have and just be content with what you have?
Okay, so here's my reason.
I don't understand. It really gets to me.
When I get into something, as you know, I like to know everything about it and learn it and sort of become immersed in it if it's something that I really like. And I'm really liking this. This cycling thing is nice. April and I really have been trying to find ways to stay active as we get older. And, there are things that you can do when you're young to stay active that sometimes make you hurt even more when you're doing it older, like running, So what I like about cycling is that it gives me the same kind of pump that a run would give me, but my knees don't hurt at the end, and my limbs are all jacked up and stuff. There's not the pounding on the pavement and everything.
And I love cycling too. I am enjoying it, and I'm like, this is great. Let's just enjoy it.
So that's part of it. Part of it for me is just liking to get into it, and you know that about me. I like to really, understand it and all that kind of stuff. But the other thing is, I understand that when I have something of value, that I can usually trade on that thing to get something better later. And especially for things that depreciate, like cars or bikes or computers, I like to be in a position to sort of get what I want next by getting the most that I can out of this. So for instance, when it comes time to sell this bike, I want to be ready to sell it, knowing that maybe 3 years from now, I won't get nearly as much money for it. So that's kind of like why I do that. I just put myself in that position to make sure. And sometimes I'll put stuff online just to see how much I can get for something.
He may not even be trying to sell it necessarily.
Right.
I can't take that. I just can't. It's been our entire marriage, actually.
But here's the thing, though. What I have tried to do.
And I've had benefits from it.
Yeah, you have. But
along the way.
What I've tried to do, though, what I've tried to do in this situation is try to handle myself in a certain way. And part of it is to really remove any kind of anxiety from you. So selling things so that I could pay for it with money that's not part of our actual budget. Part of the reason why I do that is because I want to make sure that when I buy this thing, you're not like...
I know, but it's the whole process.
I know, but I'm saying I'm doing all this stuff to take away the anxiety, but it's not helping.
No, because it's the whole process. It's just so much that goes into it. And I know it's not me doing it, but I guess watching it just causes me to have... and I appreciate that you don't spend our money to do it,
right.
But it still causes me to... and I'm just thinking about other couples. Like, are there people out there where their husband's like, yo, I need a new car. Right. And you have a car that works fine.
Right.
Like, or a wife that is constantly having to get her hair, nails, new makeup, just so much that it just causes anxiety because that's going to be money that needs to be found somewhere, and in my situation it's a little bit different because I know that John is going to find the money,
but it still doesn't take away the anxiety.
It doesn't take it away.
Clearly you have something in common with other people.
As soon as he started looking for new bikes, I was like, what? You are not. So really, seriously, we would love for you to comment. Maybe you have a similar situation where your wife or your husband, whatever, is one of those kinds of people that they're always looking for the next thing. And and somehow it bothers you and makes you feel some kind of way. We'd like to know how you deal with that. How do you cope? Is it something that really does get under your skin, or is it something that makes you anxious? And really, I think that with some couples, when you have a spouse that just goes off and spends the budget money or spends money that needs to be used for something else, that is more than stress. That's then where you feel the whole idea of being betrayed. And that person probably is wondering every day whether or not today will be the day that they come home and something really important in their house has been sold by their spouse or has been bought by their spouse. Right. Because, I needed this, so I sold our car. What? Listen, he has suggested selling things that I'm like, are you kidding me? I don't know what you're talking about. Now, I do say stuff about selling stuff all the time. I do be like, yo, let's just sell that. You know what I'm saying? And especially since they have things like Facebook Marketplace, I'm actually really good at selling on there. Well, he said to sell something that I thought was not even an option. Right. And, we didn't do it. The point is, I think that the key is to make sure that you remember that when you're married to someone, the two of you are in a relationship together, and you have to think about them. And sometimes there are things that you have in your mind that you want to do that you have to make sure that you explain and take your spouse along with you. And it's possible that you could talk to them long enough that they would see it your way and maybe be convinced to do what you're saying. But the reality is it's not fair to just go out there and just start buying stuff. If you don't have the money, you don't need to be talking about it. I agree with that too. That's true. Or you can talk about, you talk about your want of a Tesla, and I that doesn't give me anxiety because I know that's not happening anytime soon. So you would actually have to have the money for something like that. Right. So that doesn't bother me. Those dreams are great, right? But
that's just a dream.
When I hear him talking about a bike or new clubs or you know, a new computer, it gives me anxiety.
I haven't bought new clubs in a while.
But the clubs that you have are just fine.
I think it's time for me to.
No.
I'm just kidding. I'm joking. Here's the thing I think you should do, because my wife has gotten better at this over the years. She used to be sort of the type that would kind of shut me down when I would just dream out loud. And I wasn't trying to actually buy the thing. I'm just dreaming, and I'm dreaming out loud.
Man.
And so she got better at allowing me to do that and just articulate it. And sometimes I just want to talk about it. But sometimes when I started talking that way, her whole countenance would change. She would change the whole subject. She would start knocking me down about why we don't need to do that. I'm like, girl, I'm not trying to do it. I'm just talking about it. So I think if you have...
Yeah, but I know you. So I feel like when you start talking about it, man, you start calculating, searching.
Let me calculate, girl. Let me search.
You know, looking through boxes that you can dig out.
Ain't
and
nothing
sell.
wrong with that.
Yeah, well, it causes stuff for me.
Well,
it is.
Well, my point
you
is...
know, it's nothing wrong with that, and I actually appreciate it, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't cause me anxiety.
Right.
So, you know.
True.
But I agree, you know, sometimes embracing the conversation.
Yes. I think sometimes that actually might allow your spouse to be able to get whatever was in his or her system out. Sometimes That's dreaming true. About it is enough. You don't have to actually buy the thing.
Yeah.
Just
I've
like
seen that. Yeah.
We talk about Teslas like once a month, and that helps me. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm really far from getting one.
Yeah. Now it's time for Word of the Day.
Word of the Day. The word of the day is...
The word of the day is frontal lobe.
Frontal lobe? What are you talking about?
Yes.
Are you bringing this up again?
I sure am.
Oh, brother.
Says here, the understanding that the frontal lobe of the brain doesn't fully develop in males until the age of about 25, but is fully developed in females by age of 20. Boom.
Okay, first of all...
Boom.
I would like to look at this,
please. What are you
doing? First of all... This guy is asking a question. This isn't actually any kind of scientific anything.
Well,
in fact, the person says to him, "You need to." Although I'm aware of different brain development, you need to cite some sources of reputable sources for that. This guy says, "What are you talking about?" See, does that prove that her frontal lobe?
All I know is, does that prove my frontal? I believe frontal lobes are developed faster in women, and I'm freezing, so I'm about to put my blanket on.
Well, anyway,
have a good night,
it's
everyone.
Time for bed. We'll see y'all next time.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for watching Jess, John, and April.
Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that notification bell to be notified about our next episode.
See you next time.
Bye.